This show is so much talking and an obsession with the tidy whities. Like, what is with the tidy whities? Tidy whities are everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I
Jesus of Christ.
So I'm Pops, and let's talk about Justified. Episodes 4 and 5 aired. Catching up a little bit with you guys, and man, I'm just having a hard time. The wheels are coming off the train. I'm not feeling justified. I'm not feeling fun, really. I feel tedious. I was checking the clock. Oh, let's start with episode 4 because it starts off pretty strong in a lot of ways. Like I didn't really have a major issue with where we kind of were going. Like, okay, we're going to ramp up this villain, is played by Boyd Holbrook, not been as menacing and threatening as I would like, but we're moving along. Okay, we have this conflict with this Albanian. They're kind of duping him, and then of course there's no money. And this episode picks up immediately at that point, and he just becomes very violent. Basically just tells the guy, you're going to put your leg underneath this door. So he's in this panic room with this massive steel door, and they're just going to close it on his leg. And then we cut to the hospital where Raylan shows up. So actually, that's probably one of the better scenes we've had in a minute, because we're not going to have much else. It's just going to be a lot of talking in the next couple episodes. Not a lot of stuff happens. There's a little firefight here in a minute, but, don't really care. They're disposable Albanians. So you end up with these, I guess they're supposed to be the Albanians. They're just these like disposable white dudes. I don't exactly know why we went for Albanians or give them something interesting. At least in Mayor of Kingstown, I felt like they were at least trying to like do something interesting with the Russian stereotypes and tropes, even though the accents were terrible. This show has bad accents and just regular white guys giving Raylan grief. Basically, Raylan is calling them out. I'm like, I want to talk to the boss, right? Then we cut to Boyd Holbrook. Yep. Tidy whiteys, left and righty. It's out of control seeing this dude Walker. I don't know the obsession. I don't know. I don't get it. This is the big boss. Big boss is my nephew's a dope. And this cop, who actually has been pretty decent in the show, makes a complete moronic mistake by dropping the guy's name. So now the Albanians know who to go after. And it creates even more sort of like sense of urgency. It's like a fake sense of urgency, like, you know what I mean? That they're trying to get to. And then you have a shakedown at a casino because they're following the trail of the girl by dangling him over a building. And he goes to try to warn the DA because, like, well, listen, if they know his name, they're going to eventually trace him back to you. So now you're in danger because they're looking for him, right? All that makes sense. She's just not having it. And then you're back on the road, and then they have this sort of like bar scene. So the bar scene is like where our plot sort of thickens, right? Because we end up with the concept of with this execution of this judge. So that's when things kind of change. So, the original drug bust thing went sideways. That's when they killed a bunch of agents. They identified all that, but they haven't been able to really pin that down on their big baddie. And then when we come here in town, when he executed the judge, he had taken the judge's black book. The black book is, of course, is basically like a blackmail book. There's dirt on everybody. Sweetie has been dirty. That's this black dude's name. Sweetie has been dirty this whole time. And you're going to have Clement Mansell, who's basically going to try to, partner with Sweetie. Let's make things right, Sweetie. And basically they just sort of like flippantly throw away one of the subplots about like the girl didn't throw the gun in the river. And it's like, oh, okay, now she just brought it here. I had it and whatever. It's fine. I'm like, okay, hold on. Justified very lazy. This is not how Justified was like, where's the gun? I'm taking the gun. The gun is representative of a tie to somebody. Like, it's not just some random gun, right? It's a tie to that murder. So thought all of this was just not done well. And then we cut to the roommate because the Albanians have traced to the roommate. And the roommate is just like, I didn't believe for an ounce this scene because she's so sassy with them. She starts speaking in her language. She's giving them what for. They're basically threatening to use pliers to pull out her teeth. First off, they're not really menacing. It's sort of like a gag about it. It's almost played for some levity. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just losing it all. And then of course, you have the DA and Sweetie who've been in cahoots this whole time. Cut back to the cops who've burst in on the roommate situation, right? And when they do, the dude's got the pliers in his hands, and then you end up in like a just crazy mess, right? Because you end up with this guy chasing one guy and Raylan having the gun on the other guy. So the other guy who runs gets shot off camera. We don't see that shooting. Raylan doesn't shoot anybody. She's sitting there missing her one tooth or whatever. And it's like, we don't get the justified lines. We don't get Raylan doing anything of any significance. It's just more of that. And then you have this cutback to her and him chasing off some peoples and looking after her. Cut to Tidy Whities. And I kid you not, this is the scene that gets creepy because they start playing Kokomo and you're like dancing and you're like, what? This scene is so bad, so obnoxious. I'm like, what is happening? I think that's what she says. That's why it makes it even funnier. Let me turn up the volume. It's gonna be music. It's gonna be whatever. So I'll have to stop it. But you're like, what are we doing? And then when they cut to the girl, yes, I totally agree. This show is so much talking and an obsession with the Tidy Whities. Like, what is with the Tidy Whities? Tidy Whities are everywhere. Okay. This episode wraps up because he's keeping guard of the house and she goes and get some booze. And they sort of like have a little, I don't want to say like a peace offering, or at least sort of like a connection over what's going to happen. And I think all of that was setting up. And by the way, I don't watch any teasers. So if you watch a teaser, you kind of know where things are going. And I was like mortified. Like, what on earth are they doing? I couldn't believe this scene. I'm so happy Mrs. Pops is not watching this show. All the Timothy Oliphant fans are like, no, he did not. He slept with the plumpy DA. Like, this lady has been so unlikable at every turn. They have one drink and he's in bed with her. Like, who's the bigger slut here, her or him? I thought all of this was done to just use him, and she's the one throwing water on all of it. He's like totally simping and flirty for her, and he's running around without his shirt on. Like, he looks good for 50. She looks like a normal person at 50. But he's simping all over her. Like, why was it good for you? I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. And then he goes outside and has to deal with ex-husband or ex-boyfriend, whatever it is. And my gosh, maybe it's racist. I looked at this guy's costume and I thought it was just absurd. Like, nothing makes sense. Like, why is he wearing this weird white striped? It's like a suit, but it's like a suit and a tracksuit made this mess of an outfit for this guy. Like, what are we doing in this show? And this guy is so off-putting of trying to be an alpha to Raylan with this whole, I'm a street preacher and I'm doing this and I'm that and she's my girl. And he's like, listen, you're not going in there. Like, he doesn't say anything that divulges the case, but enough. Then we cut to this scene and it's just, again, there's all sorts of talking. And it's like, screen time is spent about how she wants a milkshake and he's making oral jokes. And then they go inside to talk to Sweetie about things. And it's just her staring at her milkshake and not drinking it. And you're like, okay. And then we cut away from that because we're going to have the conversation about the chase is on, go back to the crime scenes, go talk to so-and-so. Then you have, the hens are at odds because the one hen's going to be the judge and now she's not going to be the judge. And it's like, this show just drug on for me. Oh my gosh. And then Clement, he sends Raylan flowers, which is supposed to be a gag or intimidation or whatever. And they go out on this they're going to go out to basically do a shakedown. They're going to go out and shake down this dude who is wealthy. So they also got the black book, right? So they're testing out the black book, and they're trying to figure out like who is what or whatever in this sort of like black book thing. So that's kind of what's happening in that basically scene. And there's nothing of any, there's no violence really. It's just all sorts of like bickering and whatever, and then the flowers and the girls, and then we're back at a restaurant. And then in the restaurant, black dude shows up, and it becomes like a peeing contest over the black lady. And I'm like, I didn't like her to begin with. Her sleeping with Raylan makes no sense. And now I like her even less because I think she's just trying to get him, like having dirt on him. I don't feel like there's any authenticity there. And he's totally simping it out of character. And then we follow that up with, as you guessed it, you can see more tighty-whitey. What the freak is wrong with these people? With their Boyd Holbrook? Was this the contract? Like, you're just going to run around in your tighty-whities the whole time? Like, it's just so irritating. And then you have this horrible scene. I swear to God, I thought she was going to sleep with black dude too. He's totally like macking on her, talking about the good old days. And it's just talking. And I just don't care because she's going to go dirty, because she's going to go back to the bar and talk about Sweetie because she's broke. She ain't got no money because he was such a loser, and she's going to just sell out. And then you cut to this scene, which is the close, where Raylan talks to an old cop who basically doesn't tell him anything useful about this guy. And Raylan's acting like this big wuss, like, I don't know if I can live with myself if I can't, bring this guy in or whatever. And you're like, dude, freaking get over it, man. Like, you're Raylan Givens. Like, we've had through like 6 seasons of you doing cool things. Do something interesting. Like, this show has just derailed into just this combination of boredom and then weird tropes and things like that are mixed in. That's not even counting like this weird black person lecture that the black dude gave the girl, the DA, about Raylan. Oh, you're sleeping with him. And I was like, what is this show? Is just, it is a mess. It is a mess. I just couldn't believe how bad it's gotten. So anyway, maybe some of you love the show. Tell me what you like about the show. If you like the show, if you don't like the show, feel free to join me in there's only one more. So it's not like I'm not going to bail out. I only got one more to complete the season and say I did it. I'm so glad Mrs. Pops didn't see this. She loved Timothy Olyphant and Justified. She thinks he's cute. She watched Timothy Olyphant movies, blah, blah, blah. To know that he's written to bang with the ugly black lady. And I say ugly with her personality because it had nothing to do with her personally. She's just some lady walking around, but she's just a normal looking lady. That is not Raylan's girl and makes no sense whatsoever. None. Zero. I'm out. I'm Pops. Take care.
Yeah. Right?